Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So, we've got a really massive story to break down for you today. Easily one of the most unexpected technology investment developments we've seen all year. We're looking at a huge announcement that dropped during SpaceX's recent Q2 earnings call. Now, I know what you're thinking. A company buying computer chips? That doesn't exactly sound like front page news. But trust me, in the hyper-competitive world of artificial intelligence, this is an absolute earthquake. Elon Musk, a guy who is practically legendary for doing everything himself, just made a decision that is sending literal shockwaves through the entire semiconductor industry. You see, Musk didn't just casually endorse Nvidia because they happen to make a solid product. He gave them the ultimate stamp of approval by completely abandoning his own playbook. SpaceX has decided to use Nvidia GPUs exclusively for its massive AI computing infrastructure. And to really grasp why this matters so much, we have to flip the script and look at what SpaceX chose not to do. The real shocker here? They chose not to build it themselves. This is a massive contradiction, right? I mean, historically, Elon Musk is the king of vertical integration. If a supplier is too slow, too pricey, or just isn't innovating fast enough, Musk's companies just build the tech internally. Look at Tesla. They built their own custom AI training technology and custom inference silicon for autonomous driving from scratch. But when it came to evaluating the colossal infrastructure needed for SpaceX's rapidly expanding AI ambitions, he totally threw that playbook out the window. He went all in on exclusive Nvidia hardware. So you have to ask yourself, why would a customer with practically unlimited engineering resources make a choice like that? Let's get into Section 1, Unpacking Nvidia's Hidden Moat. Right off the bat, a lot of bearish investors look at the AI hardware market, and they ask a pretty basic question. Well, which chip costs less? Or maybe they're asking, which individual processor is technically the fastest? But honestly, assuming this is just some standard commodity price war completely misses the point of what hyperscalers are actually trying to achieve. Because if you're sitting in the boardroom at a company like SpaceX, the actual question you're asking is, which platform lets us deploy AI compute the fastest, at an enormous scale with the absolute least amount of execution risk? Think about it. If a competitor's chip is slightly cheaper but it takes you 6 extra months to deploy, requires an army of engineers to squash software bugs, and runs at a lower overall utilization rate, that is fundamentally worse for your business. And that brings us to Nvidia's true competitive advantage. They aren't just selling a chip anymore. They're increasingly selling the whole shebang, an entire integrated AI factory ecosystem. We are talking GPUs, CPUs, high-speed networking, NVLink technology, rack-scale systems, their proprietary CUDA software, and massive AI libraries. SpaceX realized pretty quickly that competing against Nvidia doesn't just mean designing a single better accelerator. It means flawlessly recreating this entire integrated ecosystem. And right now, that is just incredibly difficult to do. Section 2, the competitor impact, looking at AMD and custom chips. This exclusive move by SpaceX really challenges a core assumption floating around Wall Street right now. You know, the thesis for AMD's long-term AI opportunity relies heavily on this idea that hyperscalers absolutely hate being locked into a single supplier. Usually, they demand dual sourcing to keep prices competitive and guarantee supply. But SpaceX is standardizing exclusively on Nvidia. Now, AMD can still build a huge business because the total market is just so vast, but SpaceX's decision definitely throws some serious cold water on the bearish idea that customers will instantly jump ship the second a credible, slightly cheaper alternative pops up. Section 3, the custom silicon paradox. We constantly hear this debate framed as a zero-sum game, right? Nvidia versus custom chips from giants like Google or Amazon. The assumption is that the second hyperscalers build their own chips, Nvidia's toast. But honestly, that's a false dichotomy. The reality isn't Nvidia versus custom chips. It's Nvidia plus custom chips. Elon Musk is a massive advocate for custom silicon, yet here his companies are, still buying Nvidia hardware by the absolute truckload. And here's exactly why they're going to coexist. Custom chips, or ASICs, are fantastic. They are highly efficient for predictable, high-volume, static workloads. But AI? AI is moving at lightning speed. For frontier models, rapidly changing workloads, and applications where ultimate flexibility and time to deployment mean everything, NVIDIA remains the absolute gold standard. Because of this dynamic, NVIDIA's total addressable market is likely going to remain much, much larger than the bears expect. Moving on to Section 4, Securing Future GPU Supply. Musk specifically pointed out that SpaceX's decision was driven partly by the strength of NVIDIA's upcoming Vera Rubin architecture. And get this,
He said they expect to secure a significant percentage of Nvidia's production next year. Let that sink in. Major technology players are literally fighting tooth and nail right now to lock down allocations of next-generation hardware before their competitors can get their hands on it.
And just to put the absolute scale of this into perspective, SpaceX's Q2 capital expenditures were roughly $15.8 billion. Guys, this isn't a company just doing a routine upgrade on a corporate data center. They are building AI computing capacity at an extraordinary, world-changing scale. There is a massive, unprecedented amount of financial weight behind this infrastructure build-out.
Which really leads us to this harsh reality. GPU allocation isn't just procurement anymore. It's a strategic resource war. Controlling massive volumes of Nvidia compute power is now viewed by these tech giants as being just as fundamental to their survival as securing physical land, power grids, or networking lines. If you don't have the compute today, you simply cannot compete tomorrow.
Section 5, the investor bottom line.
Synthesizing all of this leaves us with 5 structural market signals. 1. Despite sophisticated customers having the resources to build their own tech, Nvidia remains the platform to beat. 2. Nvidia's moat extends way beyond the physical GPU into networking, software, and integration, meaning massive switching costs. 3. AI infrastructure demand is remaining stronger for longer than many anticipated. 4. Alternative chips will expand alongside Nvidia, not necessarily replace them. And 5. With customers fighting over supply, Nvidia holds on to incredible pricing power and visibility into future demand.
Now, as hyped as we can be about the strategy here, we do need to stay grounded and objective. Here is what we don't know yet. We don't have the exact GPU quantities. We don't know the precise revenue this will generate for Nvidia, or what average selling prices they manage to negotiate. We also don't know the exact delivery schedules or when SpaceX will actually finish this infrastructure. The big takeaway today is all about competitive positioning. So don't immediately go updating your spreadsheets to add billions in near-term earnings just yet. We definitely need a bit more data before we cross that bridge.
But I want to leave you with a thought that I think really challenges the prevailing wisdom out there. What happens if Nvidia's biggest customers discover that building an alternative chip is actually much easier than recreating Nvidia's entire AI computing ecosystem? SpaceX's decision heavily implies exactly that. Elon Musk, a man with every incentive in the world to build his own technology, looked at the landscape and decided Nvidia was the only way to scale effectively. Nvidia's biggest advantage may no longer be the chip itself. You see, the chip, that gets competitors. But the ecosystem gets customers deeply, fundamentally locked into an entire computing architecture. So the real question is it already too late for anyone else to build an ecosystem that can actually catch up? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those hard questions, keep your eyes on the data, and we will see you next time.